The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up this evening, F&M Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands is calling for the resignation of Communications Director in the Office of the Prime Minister, Latrey Ramming, and General Manager at ZNS, Clint Watson. The shocking release prompting quick response tonight. We have a whole lot to talk about as it relates to that and hear more of what Dr. Sands is saying. Also tonight is the much desired trust in the Royal Bahamas Police Force becoming more of a dream. A legitimate question tonight. We hear from Deputy Commissioner of Police Anthony Roll on that. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Now, we will get to all of the latest developments in politics in just a moment. But first this evening, we begin with an issue that is also brewing out of Lynden Pindling International Airport. Stakeholders in the livery and luxury transportation industry are responding to claims from the taxi industry that they are given preferential treatment over taxi operators, and as a result, unfair competition. The row was unfolding, as I said, at the Lynden Pindling International Airport and has taxi drivers threatening strike action. Joining me this evening is Tory Austin. He is president of the Bahamas Livery Drivers Union. Good evening to you. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. It's good to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you, Shanique. Good night.
Let's talk about what the taxi drivers are saying. And I know you all are, and your members are extremely angry because they feel as though, wait a minute, one, they've been blindsided, and they too are asking you, what is the taxi drivers and taxi union talking about?
I actually appalled myself. Shanique, I don't know what unfair advantage they're talking about. I would ask any Bahamian or anybody that has any common sense to come out and take the ratio of we call people that come out of that airport that actually go in a taxi cab versus people that actually take a livery car. It's just appalling to me. So
they get more jobs.
Of course.
They are the preferred on the door, on the proverbial door.
Taxi is an economical way to transport yourselves, and that happens, and that is a universal language. All over the world, the taxis move more than any vehicle that you can think about transporting.
Well, then what is happening? What is your role at the airport? Yours, meaning your members, your drivers who work from Lynden Pindling?
Our role is to provide clients to meet the demand of what this new generation wants. Our role is to provide a luxury car and service to
a better experience.
A better experience, exactly. People that want to move around this country, that come into our country now, has shown a demand. They're staying at luxury hotels, so it's a luxury brand, yeah, and they want to move around and maybe in a luxury car.
So you're saying that the taxi industry has fallen behind, severely when it comes to providing that? Because remember now, there were days when there were Mercedes taxi vans. Yeah, that defined the Bahamas. That defined the tourism industry and riding in the Bahamas in a public transportation as such a taxi cab. Are you saying that they have slipped significantly?
Yes, I'll say, and the transportation sector in the Bahamas has slipped tremendously. And this is why I took on the role of being the president, because I'm trying to raise the standards of transportation in this country, especially from the livery standpoint, from where I stand. As the leader of our group, I am trying to raise the way people, the service level, the car level, the standards of how you would be transport anywhere in this country, whether it's from the airport, whether it's a local, whether it's at a hotel, wherever you want to be. We want to raise the standards of how anybody, whether it's Bahamian, a tourist walking in there, driving, we want to be able to raise the experience. And so, in my personal opinion, the service level has dropped a lot. The type of car that you drive in has dropped a lot. If you as you can see...
Give an example of some of the vehicles that shock you that have a taxi plate on them. Especially from Lynden Pindling.
Well, as someone who works there at a daily, you can see cars that have been sleep out there from the night before. So imagine a car that someone has slept in the night before. You think that's humane?
Hold on, what do you mean someone? You mean the cab driver?
Well, we have a lot of that.
Sleeping in their cars at the airport?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Because they want to be first out. There's a lineup, and they want to be first out.
These people are without brushing teeth, changing clothes, being freshly
showered,
and the car already just raggedy, right?
Exactly.
And so imagine all of that combined, that they are now sleeping out there, allegedly according to this president here, they are sleeping out at Linden Pinley because they want to be first on the door to get the first job and hopefully get as many jobs as possible in a given day. So they are chancing sleeping at the airport in their vehicles so that they can then, again, be first on the call-up.
First on the call-up system. But it's the world has evolved. We're not talking about it 1940s or 60s when this whole taxi thing was the most popular way of transportation. The world has evolved. You go where you travel now, you may want a black car service. All we do is provide an option. That's all we do. So
it isn't unfair for you to be out there in your wonderful, beautiful vehicle, and them there knowing that people will say, "Hold on, I think I think I'd like to go in this one here." You don't think it's unfair? You're saying, listen, the world, because I'll tell you, when I went to London last year, I was so happy to drive in one of those. I mean, it's fantastic. The feeling is good. I didn't feel itchy. I didn't feel like, hold on, this man slept in this vehicle. I didn't feel that way.
Of course, Shanique, you telling me you work hard all year long. You finally decide to take a vacation. You and your family of 4 or 5 people. And you walk out of an airport and you're looking for a refreshing way to get to your hotel. See, we offer not only the vehicle. I want us to focus on the service that we have. Our cars come with complimentary water, air conditioning. I mean, a chauffeured service. We not a chauffeured service where we are right now today still training and additional training to our drivers to bring them to the level of being a real chauffeur. Cold towels, the music of your choice. When you go cruising down the JFK Boulevard or something.
So listen,
I want you to understand the services that we provide compared to a taxi driver.
To what they have not even kept the standard where it was decades ago. They have allowed it just to regress.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, and our position is to keep those standards and even raise them even higher.
Continue to have it be elevated.
That's what we're working on. See, Shanika, as a delivery president, we are working in-house. We're not worried about all the noise in the market. We are trying to improve as a sector. That's important for us. How can we set the standard in not only the Bahamas, but globally? As the world-class place that when people come to the Bahamas, the way of transportation. We aim to be the most trusted source of transportation in all of the world.
So you are saying what delivery drivers and your union and your members are doing is simply keeping up with where the world has gone and the demands of now more discerning travelers.
Exactly.
But the taxi industry and what they're experiencing is nothing to do with you because they too can upgrade and enhance.
My point exactly.
Mm-hmm. So you don't see it as unfair advantage when you're offering water and cool towels?
That's part of what we do as a delivery sector. When you talk about a luxury brand, that's the service that we provide. Let's just use a hotel, for example. The Bahama has 3 different hotels. They have an option. You can stay in the Rosewood and you can spend extra more money because you're going to expect a better service.
Yes.
So it's the same thing with transportation. See, what it is with transportation is this. When you come out of the airport, and let's say you decide to get in a taxi, you normally have to go with the first person out. Not always that first person is the most desirable taxi of which you really want to get into. And what I mean by that is, it could have been a person who might have slept in the car all night. It could have been a person that doesn't have the air conditioning. It could have been a person that even doesn't have a radio station working. Now, don't get me wrong, there are good taxis, and I respect the taxi industry, and I don't want to be here to bombard them or make them put them down. But there is a need and there is a way for them to elevate their services and their vehicles.
Your members, several of them contacted me and they wanted you to come out and speak to this.
Yeah.
What is troubling for them when they have seen those headlines for the last few days?
And I'll tell you this, Shanique, we're not at war with the taxis. I want to make that perfectly clear to the general public and to all of our drivers and to the taxi community. We're not at war with the taxis. But what we will not do is sit down and let people bully us and shove us around and So we are here to defend ourselves. We are not here to take advantage of any system. We do not take advantage. We do not have an advantage of any system. We are just a viable option for the traveler that comes into this country. And I don't like to use the word traveler. I like to say any customer that wants our services, we are here for. Because if you at home and you decide today that you and your family wants to get a SUV or one of our town cars or one of our limos to the airport, why not? It's just an option.
But I don't know if things have changed, because I know taxi drivers stopped servicing Bohemia, the local community.
And guess what I'll tell you? And I'll tell you this on that. We as a livery sector, just got out of the meeting, we are continuing to try to look at ways of providing services throughout the Bahama land, throughout the island, so you could, because we're not just focusing on Bahamians. We are right now working with app persons and different global leaders in transportation who is going to help us and present something to the government to regulate and how we can maneuver.
So you all are now trying to bring that real personalized experience to each household, if they so desire. So almost like the systems we see into Lyft and Uber.
Exactly.
And the rest of it.
Why not you need a ride to the airport at 6 a.m. Do you have a taxi driver that you can call?
No.
Exactly. Why not we have a reliable, trusted app that you can call and get an SUV to pick you and your family up to take you to the airport because you don't feel like driving and parking there? What's wrong? And so that's the way we're trying to advance. See, like I say, we cleaning our house.
So this is why your members were so insistent that, listen,
get
our position out there.
Now, I'll tell you this, Shanique. Do we have one or two bad apples in our bunch? Yes. And I'm working vigorously to deal with that matter. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's all perfect. We do have some guys that probably could portray to be taxi drivers and move around for a little, and we're totally against that. That's not part of what the union stands for.
So there is no outright competition
on
the door at LPIA?
No. We don't consider that as competition. It's a whole different...
Wait, now, what you all consider versus what's happening are two different things. Are you all out there like getting the same jobs and jostling like the cab driver who slept overnight right there and trying to be the first person at the gate? Are you all right there? Because initially this was for taxi drivers, yes, to be able to get fares to go with whomever to go wherever from the airport.
Well, initially it was for taxi drivers. The limos, they had 28 plus years ago, there was a limousine call-up line. Limousines were out there because people requested limos back in the day. Yeah. And as we evolved, and SUVs and town cars became on stream. And so they also end up joining the line. So nowadays, limousine has gone out, and more SUVs and town cars and Sprinter vans have taken over the luxury market. And so we have just continued that. It's just nothing new. The airport is designed to have 2 town cars, 2 SUVs, and 2 limousines in a space on the door. So what we do is we have a dispatcher on the door that gets the directive of an ad person who acts as an ambassador and acts as a concierge person and directs the person. She would give the guest an option, and the guest chooses the option today. Today, I want me and my family to ride in an SUV. And we pull up and take the guest. What is...
Well, there's nothing, you were saying nothing that suggests any hostility, any intentions to be seen as the preferred. What do you want to say? Because I'll tell you, do you think there's much support for, or even understanding for a taxi strike? And even though it's not your place to maybe speak to it, but just from the outside looking in.
No, I don't see a reason of strike. And I'll tell you, what we did is we've been having meetings. We had meetings prior with the taxi cab union president and their executive team to try to come to some resolve. Because at the end of the day, I'm Bahamian, my colleagues are Bahamian, he's Bahamian, his colleagues are Bahamian. There's a world that we can both exist. Let us come up with new, creative ways, present them to the government to get regulated, and figure this out. And we could all work together. But you tell me that only taxis could be here, only taxis to be on the hotel door, to only taxis to be on. That is ludicrous in this day and time. I travel the world, Shanique. I just came from a trip to Vegas earlier in the year. I walk out of my hotel. The bellman says to me the same thing. Sir, would you like a taxi or would you like one of our nice luxury cars? When I was going 5 minutes up the road, you know what I decided to do? Jump in a taxi. When I wanted to roam the town and have a little bit more time, I went in an SUV. But I had the option.
And that's all you are offering.
And that's all we want to do is have the option. We do not want the taxi jobs. That's not our clientele. That's not our market. That's not our niche. Our niche is the luxury spender, the person that wants to spend and doesn't mind spending 100, 120, 150 bucks on a transportation. I don't want a taxi job. That's not my people.
I know you just came from a meeting directly here, just before airtime. What was that meeting to address, if you can say?
Well, we have monthly meetings.
Okay.
And our meetings are always designed to improve as a sector. We deal with our in-house issues. Nothing to do with taxis and whatever. We are looking at, like I say, we're talking right now with global partners and how we can improve our product. Okay? I want to actually, to be honest with you, we want to get away from standing on the door. We don't want to do that business. But I've met that in place in the last 18 months since I've been the president.
Right.
Okay? We want to find a better way and solution way of how we move people around this country rather than having to stand on it and having to be a dispatcher. We're looking at ways how we can improve the chauffeur, the driver himself, dress codes, all these different things I've addressed today in our meeting, how the driver can be dressed with, what is happening with your car. We're going to try to help. We're not going to do road traffic stop, but we're going to help inspect some of the cars to make sure that they're reading up to the standards. How we can help a brother, how we can become a digital platform for payment. Are you working on getting your credit card system, your booking system, your website, etc. How you can improve as a business person. And that's what we're working on. So every month we have a monthly meeting with all of our members and try to improve our sector. Not to worry about all the noise in the morning.
You're not caught up in the row and who thinks this and that. You're trying to...
Who have time for that? You have time for that? Because I don't.
No.
We have time to make our people better. That's what we're all about. How do we go out and make our product and our people better? Because the better you are, like I said, you dress good, your car good, the money can come. Yeah? The money is going to come.
It absolutely will.
And so that's what we focus on. Like I say, these are Bahamian men and women that have to take care of their families. And we are in a situation now that we have more luxury cars on the road than ever before. There's more taxis on the road. And we're not trying to, like I say, I listened to a comment the other day that we hitting on their turf or marching their corn. No, we have our own area that we want to get our business from and just go about and do our job. Put on our pants every morning and brush our teeth and go to say our prayers and go to work.
And get the job done.
And get a fair income without taking bread out of anybody's mouth.
I think
we have to look at the sector itself.
No, the sector needs an overhaul.
The whole transportation in this country needs an overhaul.
Absolutely, because what passes as a taxi cab, generally speaking, nowadays, Paso should have no taxi player in it.
Well, some things out there with have plates on it.
Let's be like, come on, man. If you're sitting in the seat, just you, that should not be a taxi.
I tell you, we have some cars that pulling up on the doors. Like talking about you feel these degrees with being going on.
Oh, it's hot.
100 degrees. And imagine having to drive in the car and you as a client can't.
And the driver telling you fan.
Or
offering you pizza.
Or he's speeding very fast. You get some fresh because it's ridiculous.
No,
it's ridiculous,
I think the energy should be put into upgrading versus getting upset and wanting to take strike action. I thank you very much. Of course, this is something that we here at Beyond the Headlines are going to continue to follow. Thank you very much, Tori Austin, for being here. Tori, of course, once again, President of the Bahamas Livery Drivers Union. Thank you for being here with me this evening on Beyond the Headlines. When we come back, we are going to shift gears. That's right. We're going to get into the biggest. That's pretty big, Tori. But this one is late. It's kind of late breaking. Late this afternoon, early this evening. You all saw it. You all saw the headlines. You heard me talk about it at the top of the show. F&M Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands says ZNS General Manager Clint Watson and OPM's Communications Director Latrey Ramming must go. We will talk about that when we come back.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks from coast to coast, providing more of what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. Call now to get more of the care you need.
Come for Comfort Suites Paradise Island is the best-kept secret in the Bahamas. Located directly next door to the Atlantis Resort, you'll receive all the privileges of an Atlantis guest with all the benefits of a Comfort Suite stay. Enjoy everything Atlantis has to offer, including Aquaventure Water Park, plus all the amenities of Comfort Suites. Free Wi-Fi, free breakfast daily, and kids stay, play, and eat free. Visit ComfortSuitesPI.com.
This year marks a milestone. The OWN Foundation is celebrating 10 years of impact, innovation, and inspiration. Join us for OWN Talks, September 12th at the Atlantis Resort, Paradise Island at 7 p.m. for a transformative experience under the theme, Activate. Taking the stage are world-renowned leaders and visionaries. Sebastian Bastian, visionary entrepreneur, philanthropist, and CEO of Island Luck and Weiss Technology Group. Barbara Corcoran, legendary real estate mogul, entrepreneur, investor, and star of Shark Tank. Vusi Tembekwayo, global business strategist, venture capitalist, and one of Africa's most influential thought leaders. Be part of this unforgettable evening as the OWN Foundation celebrates a decade of purpose and progress. And together, we activate the future.
Watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
This segment is brought to you by EV Motors Fleet Sales Division. For 2026 commercial vehicles, call 821-2403 today.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Just before we continue this evening, I just want to, and I thank you all for your participation, and I want to share this comment. Now, you all are sending voice notes. I'm live. I can't listen to them, but here's one. Shanique, you can go to Freeport right now. This is from the first segment. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the show. The first segment just wrapped up a minute ago where we spoke with the president of the Bahamas Livery Union, Drivers Union, Tori Austin, who talked about, listen, there's no fight from his point of view with taxi drivers. There's no unfair competition because they are not competing for the same guests. And so we were talking about the state of taxi cabs as well. And so here it is. This person says, Shanique, you can go to Freeport right now. I mean, at this very moment, right now. There's a particular taxi that uses his hand brakes as brakes. That's happening right now. Now, who licensed that man? You got a MacGyver. That's exactly what it is. MacGyver. Listen, no, MacGyver. I'm surprised he running the car with his foot on the hot pavement. Listen to me. We got to stop playing games, man. There's no way somebody, and you all told me that is the emergency brake he's using. So I don't know how that even works. How you do that? How you get the car to move if you have the emergency brakes up? But I don't stop playing games. That's what I mean. Stop playing games. Now, listen, we're going to move forward this evening. Free National Movement Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands is demanding the resignation of General Manager of the Broadcasting Corporation, Clint Watson, whose purported appearance at a PLP candidate module days ago is being widely scrutinized. Sands argues that his continued employment while seeking to become the PLP's candidate for Southern Shores is an egregious violation of ethics. This, as unconfirmed reports suggest that Watson, a veteran broadcaster, is eyeing the constituency that's currently led by local pastor Leroy Major. Sands, however, is also calling for Latrey Raming's resignation, accusing the communication director in the office of the Prime Minister of openly campaigning for the PLP while drawing a taxpayer-funded salary. Now, Raming is firing back tonight. He's insisting that the F&M chairman has no standard, no credibility, or authority to call for his resignation. In the statement, Raming defends his tenure in the office of the Prime Minister since being appointed in 2021, while putting under a magnifying glass Sands' tenure as health minister during the former Minnis-led administration. As it relates to Watson, Raming argued that the Broadcasting Corporation's general manager is not in breach of any public service policy, as he was not and has not been nominated to represent any seat. Well, let's break this down this evening. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, my contributors, Peggy Candace and Glenroy Pratt. Good evening to both of you. It's good to have you both here. I know this is something that you both can get into, but first, let me just give you an idea of something Dr. Sands says in that two-page release. He says, the government has a blatant disregard for the freedom of the press and a conflict of interest that undermines that democracy. Watson has not been on a show for some time now, as you all would see. He has a nightly show. However, he remains the general manager at ZNS. And so let's get into this, guys. Precedence has been set here before. It's almost expected by some or many, and ZNS no less, where quite a number of on-air personalities, whether it's news or radio programming, have made the leap from media into politics. So is the call, here's the first question for you, for the resignations of these two individuals a credible ask at this juncture?
Good evening, good night, Bahamas. Shanique, thank you for having me once again. You know, the words that come to mind is the hypocrisy of Dr. Dwayne Sands. And I'll get straight to the point. The former Senator Jamal Morse was also an aspiring candidate for the Free National Movement. If you don't know, he works for ZNS. He is the producer of one of their shows. Now, he may not be the general manager, but he works for the Broadcasting Corporation.
Now, which election season was this?
Now, he was the aspiring candidate, firstly, for Tall Pines. How I know that I did his PR. He then jumped from Tall Pines. Once somebody came in and he don't stand a chance against the person because he's one of the boys, he went to South Beach. Jamal Morse was not asked to resign. There's also another young gentleman, aspiring candidate for the F&M. He works for ZNS Norton in Grand Bahama. And so what is the difference? Oh, he's a general manager. They're all employees of the Broadcasting Corporation.
Well, he is, I'll tell you, yes, Jamal Morse is an employee and an on-air personality, but what you don't know is that he is a director. So he is in middle management at the Broadcasting Corporation. And you're right, he is also still on air, and he is seeking whichever political, appointment that he is interested in and aspiring to as well.
So what is the difference? Why call? And I've seen some of the comments made for Mr. Clint Watson. Mr. Clint Watson is a Bahamian. He have a right to apply. He have a right to want to serve this country at a different level of service. Has he committed a crime? Is he a non-Bahamian? Is he under 18? I think they are the criteria to offer yourself for serving in the House of Assembly. And so I think it's a hypocrisy. It appears that the F&M is diminished to the point that if we don't win this way, we'll try win the other way. And we're still waiting to hear your plans to govern. So instead of trying to eliminate the competition, convince us that you're right for the job.
Glenroy, your thoughts on this? Your thoughts on all Dr. Sands had to say? It was a lengthy news release. I just kind of picked out what was said in the news. I went with that as well. But I'm sure you've browsed through the entire release of some of what he had to say.
Yes, thank you very much, Shanika, and good evening to you and Peggy, and good evening, Bahamas.
Good evening.
You know,
Blue
this is, yeah, I hear Peggy, yeah. But, you know, I have a differing view, obviously, from what Peggy stated, and let me tell you some of the things why. Obviously, I've been watching the, ZNS in terms of its distribution of news and so on and so forth. I do recognize that there has been some balance in terms of how it approaches this seemingly electoral process. But there's always...
You mean you've noticed there's been some balance?
There have been some balance.
In this season so
yes,
far,
I've seen some balance in the sense that you have opposing sides and having, especially even on Clint's show, there have been opposing side having their dialogue back and forth. However, him being the general manager dictates what happens in that whole organization. And obviously from that perspective, it gives the appearance of interference relative to what information
but have
is
we
being...
seen, and that's what I want to talk about right now, have we seen that because
Well,
ZNS, the secret to ZNS, and you all know my hello hi, who hasn't in media walked through the doors of ZNS? I'm one of them. So I have a little bit of information about how ZNS roll. We know it's a public broadcaster.
Right.
The government of the day predominantly takes management of ZNS in terms of their tenure, and they make their appointments, etc. Because why? It is really to get the government's message across. But have we seen any sort of threat to denying a voice or an opinion of others?
Well, again, the appearance. See, I mean, and there's a reality that, listen, if you have somebody who is in charge of an organization, they dictate policy. And if for some reason there is some messaging or something that comes out against the government in a sense that may be credible, is that information going to come forth? Is that voice going to be muffled? Is that person going to not be able to speak whatever the truth is to power? And so these are the questionable things that come as a result. You should not have a room for that opportunity by not allowing yourself to be in this process of the electoral process at this stage. If that was his intent, he should have waited. The other aspect of it is when you look back, there was a few weeks ago, there was an individual who was invited to come on ZNS inside Grand Bahama, and then while he was there, they stopped the show and told him he had to leave. And so when you look at that, what was the reasoning behind that?
Well, if you hear the story, Glenroy, you bring things up and know the full story, because
Yes.
I understand and was told, never mention it, never even discussed it,
Right.
what the story was. They were there to talk about something entirely different. Peggy, do you remember what the topic was?
I think it was a show about men.
And sort of this emotional issues that's happening with men nowadays.
Right.
And so he wanted to put in, according to what I heard, he wanted to put in his political plugs. And he was cautioned several times that let's stick to the storyline, let's stick to the show. And he wanted to use it. But
that's what you were told.
I'm saying, and that's what I was told.
But see,
That's what I was
that
told.
is exactly why I'm saying what I'm saying. So now that you have this perception of interference based on somebody's ambition, it gives the impression that there will never be fair, justice, and equitable distribution of information that comes forth.
Listen, all of us are scrutinized heavily, particularly in this season. It's been no secret. ZNS, as best as it tries to be as middle of the road, is not necessarily middle of the road in terms of it gives the government view and then it presents the opposition's view. It's always been that way since I was an employee at ZNS.
But is it right though?
But my dear, from the time it was instituted, I imagine under the Pindling administration, this is the way it's run.
What the
public
behavior
public broadcasters in the region, that is the way they are
and
run.
Each side, when in
in
opposition,
power,
complains the identical words. But I want to
and I have an issue with if it's done on the other side as well.
Yes.
There should be fair, equitable distribution of information, and there should not be any appearance of interference based on somebody's political ambition. This isn't a strike against Clint's ambition. It's the reality of what perception may come as a result of his ambition.
But Glenroy, let's look at Clint Watson's show. Clint Watson's show has been more available than any other show to the Free National Movement, to the leadership of the Free National Movement. His It's round table. It's been always balanced with both or every side. And so it is surprising that he would be picked on by a party who he put aside all his politicalness and allowed them to come and express their views on a show. And that is unbiased.
But listen,
that is unbiased.
Let's not forget. Mr. Watson was a gentleman who sat on this particular network and has often lambasted the government and its performance and the things that were transpiring under the former administration.
But that was in a different role.
No,
has he done that? Have you all? Has he been unfair to the opposition now?
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
But sitting in this chair, you said in this chair.
But let's
go ahead, Glenroy.
Let me finish the point. Understand the point. He has lambasted the previous administration based on the performance and based on the things that at the time that the people felt that needed to be addressed.
Right.
Granted, I take that as it is. However, right now in this country, there are many issues that are now prevalent that needs to be addressed. Homelessness is needing to be addressed in this country. I haven't heard any kind of same drive.
What is it? Say it again, Glenroy.
Homelessness.
Glenroy.
We have a situation.
Glenroy, I'll tell you this.
We have people committing suicide.
Glenroy.
The misery index is high. Light bills are high. People are struggling in this country.
Wait a minute, Glenroy.
And I haven't heard much media voice their concerns.
Glenroy, which media you have not heard? One.
I'm talking about specifically about the gentleman.
You're talking about ZNS. Yes. Has ZNS not discussed at all the cost of electricity or mental health?
Not the same passion.
Wait a minute.
Not with the passion. Not with the same.
What the hell? How you can determine how somebody presents?
I judge you based on your past performance. And based on Mr. Watson's past performance, he's vociferous. He came out strong. He came out hard. And under this particular administration, there seems to be mum's the word.
Shanique, I remember Friday at ZNS, I was the guest of another show that we were on. And the host was fired.
Well,
unceremoniously fired under the Minnis administration.
Wait, hold on, Sonny, you're talking about me.
Well, that doesn't mean that she should have been fired. See, don't mix apples and oranges. I don't agree with anybody being unjustly treated.
And I was there like this. And Shanique saying, this letter, and she didn't even give me a heads up. Unceremoniously
nobody should be
by the Minnis administration.
Nobody should be unjustly treated nor fired. But the point is,
comes to equity must come with clean hands. Clean hands don't have clean hands.
See, but you're talking about Sands. I'm talking about Mr. Watson.
He's the one he made the statement.
Yeah, but he made the statement.
Glenroy and Peggy, you will have every opportunity to continue this discussion right after this break. By the way, I want to give some information about just the start of ZNS. I said under the Pindling administration, I think it even goes back further than that. Again, the public broadcasters, particularly in the region, it shows up differently. We know that there's a PBS in the United States, and it has really transformed over the years to become its own sort of news agency. But in the region, it's sort of a different thing. It takes more of the tone of how the BBC is run, but still differently for this region here. But we're gonna get into more of this and hear more ideas about exactly what the chairman of the Free National Movement has said. How about we can also get to Raming? Is his call for the resignation of Latrey Raming a fair one, and why? We'll talk about that as well right after this break. Stay close.
My late husband, Tyrone Albury, had a passion for brewing beer at home. We found one of his recipes and we started on the stovetop with 1 gallon of beer. It was a hobby that turned into a passion project that turned completely out of control. We had to make a decision whether or not we were going to continue home brewing or open a brewery. So craft beer is basically brewing a very small batch of beer. Every individual batch of beer is going to be slightly different.
We're always trying to figure out what the next best beer is going to be.
Just the sheer amount of love and effort that goes into every brew. It's a science, really, to selecting the right grains and the hops, and then expanding on some of the normals.
Really, in the last couple of years, we've had a lot more of the locals that have found our location.
They realize that there is a fuller flavor beer out there, and we take pride in that. When we first started the concept of the brewery and we were looking for funding, it was the SBDC that we leaned on to help me push through at times when I wanted to give up, to tell me when I was making mistakes, And for that, I am grateful. So I would encourage all entrepreneurs, if you're looking for funding, mentorship, and encouragement to launch your new business idea, I would encourage you to contact the SBDC.
Are you ready to take the next step in growing your business? Check your eligibility for our guaranteed loan program at sbdcbahamas.com/GLP or call 461-7232 to learn more about how the SBDC can support your business.
So you want a space, but not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
This segment is brought to you by EV Motors Fleet Sales Division. For 2026 commercial vehicles, call 821-2403 today.
Glenroy, I want to say welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. It's good to have you. It's good to have you all tuned in. I'll tell you, the show is not long enough. And behind the scenes, you missed the show. I need somebody in here to tape, like like a reality TV, so people could see that. Wait a minute, what? This is said during. This is how they really behave. So I just want to say, though, Glenroy mentioned the cost of electricity and stuff, and I've made a fair attempt to discuss it, to discuss what's happening in Harbor Island, for example, that's still experiencing some challenges while largely having it addressed, and all these different things. In this silly season, I have been attacked and said, no, I'm not being fair. But what I'm doing on this show, I am calling it as I see it. I've said now for well over a year and a half, if not two, about when I had my special guests here, whether from the opposition in particular, the infighting is too much. I have said on PLP ministers, when they appeared on the show, whatever it is they were to discuss in their portfolio, I put the questions to them. Now let's get back. The focus right now is going to soon be the Office of the Prime Minister and the Communications Director, but the focus is this. Jamal Moss was an F&M senator in the last F&M administration while retaining employment with ZNS. Now, ZNS, I said the Pindling administration was when it was, I guess, officially sort of really became this radio and TV entity. But it was really started under the UBP. Get this, a senior manager, general manager said, and by the way, this is live, so it's everybody is feeding and informing me about stuff that even happened before me. Here's what happened. He was told by both political organizations that, listen, he could not be general manager there because he was apolitical. And so the thing is, when, again, I told you all about how ZNS operates. Glenroy said it has to change. No, it ain't. I feel as though ZNS has its role. ZNS has its role and it needs to stick within that role. It's been established to do exactly as it's doing. And now, Glenroy, I'll tell you this. Before we get back to this and you all jump in, because we have to talk about why is Latreille Raming being called on to resign, right? You talk about electricity bills, and I'm following this closely as I remember just last week, I did a whole hour with BPL to talk about this ongoing energy reform. Well, it turns out energy reform is happening all over the world, especially in the United States. 2 states in particular right now, and they're not limited to these 2 states, Arkansas, Florida. Energy reform is happening there, and guess what? Electricity is up. Electricity is up. One impacts me personally. And so I can tell you, and I'm like, what? But again, not compared to us with our fuel surcharge, but for them, They are saying, what's going on? This is higher than normal. And so I'm just saying that all these little things, Glenroy, that you say are not being addressed or are the issues, yes, they are being addressed, but also you've got to bring a level of balance and comparisons to see what's happening elsewhere. Is it just synonymous to the Bahamas, or are other people experiencing, and why? What's going on? And then mental health. I said to you during the break, I don't think we can legislate mental health. So is it a government thing about mental health? I don't know. You may want to link it to the misery index. Well, okay. We've talked about the misery index, Peggy, before on the show, Glenroy, you as well, because you both have been with me for years. And the thing about it is the misery index is at best, it is being addressed in terms of, okay, there was an increase in the minimum wage. There is ongoing talk about a living wage. It may not be enough, Glenroy, but it was done. And so what I'm saying is, as we move forward, and I'm just trying to be as balanced as possible, as we move forward, I don't know, we have got to like look at this with wider lens. But let's get back to this discussion now. Latreille ramming. Dr. San says, again, what Latreille's issue is, Dr. San says, Latreille is out there campaigning as communications director. Now, I don't go on the streets in terms of being a reporter. I don't see what he does. I don't know. I've not seen news stories of him on the beat campaigning. But you all out there, you all have seen, you all know. Let's talk about that.
Well, I personally have no issue with it because I recognize it is what it is, right? Because you have a current Minister of Foreign Affairs who always ends his quotation talking about the party when he's supposed to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs for the Bahamas in general. In my view, there should be a separation. If you're going to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs, you need to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs. You can't be the chairman whilst you're in government, because it seems, again, as if your statements are only tailored towards the people who support your party. And that means then, therefore, those of us or those who do not support your party cannot look to you for any kind of help or any situation, because your focus is on your party. And that is where it's wrong. And that's why I'm saying when you're having these types of scenarios transpire with people in government, we need to make sure that these things are not happening. The Bahamian people have to decide whether or not they want a higher level of service from the government that they elect. And when they are becoming the elected government, they become the government of all the people, not just the party that they supported. They now have to take those party caps off until election time comes around, and that is when you now talk about your party. But when you're in government, I expect you to perform as a government minister who represent the Bahamian people, not your party.
I mean, how do you click on? I think what Dr. Sands and the Free National Mess wants is...
What?
The what?
Free National Mess.
Oh, boy.
Well, I couldn't wait to say that last.
Because I really thought you slipped just now, but I remember it's you.
The Free National Mess wants.
Thank God that's not a party.
Everybody to conform to them. So, like I said on a TikTok video, so they have a part of least resistance. You can go after a young man for doing his job. I've never seen Latreille on a political beat. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen or it hasn't happened, but I've never seen it, and I monitor politics because it's nothing else.
But I know you both do, and you both pay very close attention, and this is why I'm asking if I missed it. Have you all seen it?
No, but Shanique, I want you to give me a moment to look at Latreille's response, which I love.
You mean the one that's on the government,
on
the office of the Prime Minister's letterhead?
That
should not have been on the office of the Prime Minister's letterhead. That was out of order. But that was out of order.
He said, I've never abused my office.
That's abuse right there.
I've never been investigated by the police. I've never been accused of coaching a witness or I love the shadiness, or tampering with evidence. I've never been condemned by the court for unethical conduct. I've never given a government contract to a witness in a corruption case. I've never been fired by a sitting prime minister. I've never been forced to resign.
Well, that's a lot of PLP represented in that statement.
I love that response. And he say, can Dr. Sands say the same? Dr. Sands really think we forget him, you know. It's only been almost 4 years. We haven't forget the madness Dr. Sands did under the previous administration. And I said earlier, he that comes to equity must come with clean hands. Dr. Sands, politically, your hands are filthy. We have not forgotten that you broke the rules during COVID-19, that you gave Dr. Minnis the hardest time. And I remember, even as the FNM, I was campaigning. I said, either you resign or you are fired, until he had to make a decision. Dr. Sands made bad decisions. And of all these things about Dr. Sands, he still want to return to governance. And so how can a man that expects the forgiveness and the forgetfulness of a people call for the resignation of two men?
Well, do you all think that, because we know what season it is the silly season, as we call it here in the Bahamas, but the political season, right? Do you think, again, it's just par for the course, like what Dr. Sands did this afternoon or early this evening?
Dr. Sands must make sense. He's making sense.
There are fundamental questions and things that needs to be listened to when it came to what he stated. We can't ignore the realities of what was stated. We have ZNS as the national voice of the Bahamas.
It is,
right?
You know, Glenroy.
That's an issue.
Glenroy, wait a minute.
That's an issue.
Glenroy, if it were the first time in the history of ZNS wait a minute. In this instance, okay, the PLP is in power. That a PLP somebody is sitting there and showing favoritism, and you all have both said you don't see that happening right now at ZNS. I'll tell you, when the FNM was in power, there were FNM ZNS employees who governed as they needed to govern. Notice the word govern.
And you
what
being
I'm
so
saying
polite.
is,
there were people who just had bad, nasty
but
attitudes.
I am not a proponent of either.
Their party was in power.
Glenroy.
But at the same time,
but Glenroy, it is what happens at ZNS. It is what's going on.
But the reality is, we have never had a general manager of ZNS who wanted to be running in the political
Kelsey
arena.
Johnson.
He resigned.
You don't know Kelsey,
he
but
resigned.
you don't have to resign
No,
until
he
you
wasn't general manager at the time.
You hear that, Glenroy?
He was not general manager at the time, if I remember correctly now.
Have you heard that?
You don't have to resign.
If I have not, no. Understand what I'm saying.
Wait a minute. No. Question. Did you hear that? Do you know what the law says?
No. I'm not talking about the law. I'm
resign.
talking about the realities of how it looks.
No,
perception is reality for a lot of people.
Glenroy, let's talk about how it looks. I'm going to ask you and Peggy, and both of you sat on the same side of the road at one point, but you all can clearly see that this is an equal discussion. Okay, then. Let's talk about perception. Let's talk about perception. Glenroy, I want you to answer first. Mm-hmm. Forget ZNS for a moment.
Right.
It is said that this show is a biased, unfair show. You have been with me for years. Peggy have been with me for years.
And at one point, they were saying all FNMs because we were both on the same side.
Absolutely. What have I attempted since my days on The Conversation to now to do on every show?
Well, obviously, you're not in question. Your approach to doing it has been balanced. But see, you're not in question.
No, say it
understand
again,
the point.
Glenroy.
But you're not in question. See, you haven't, I don't know what
the
works. I don't know if you want to put a cabinet position down the line. I don't know if you're going to be running in Kalani or something that we don't know about. Well, what I'm saying is,
if they pay me a few $million, let it be known I have no political aspirations.
But what we have seen, though, Shanique, is there were a lot of voices at the time that were vociferous against the government. Very vociferous. And they stand firm. But guess what? Now, here's what happened. Majority of those voices ended up being employed by the government. Now, everybody quiet, and there is hardly any voice out there saying what the government needs to do, yada, yada. Everybody going quiet.
Whatever this administration decided to do if they offer you, if whomever it is.
I cannot be bought.
But the thing about it is, Shanique, the FNM, the Free National Mess, wants the media.
Movement.
I can keep saying that. The Free National Mess wants the media to do their job. They're weak and all in the country, the government.
According to tonight, we're talking about the things that they presented.
The only thing I hear coming out of their camp is accountability, transparency.
And we are not facing any of that in the country.
Anything else, you talk about crime and mental health and abuse and all of that.
And people suffering in this country.
But then you need to be the spokesperson. Fire Dr. Sands because they should
tomorrow
not
evening.
again.
Tomorrow
Fire
evening.
Dr. Sands and you take it on. You do a better job.
Tomorrow evening, Of course, you know, the Free National Movement will roll out its latest tranche of candidates, and we will be talking about that. Joining me tomorrow evening on certainly at the top of tomorrow evening show is the Vice Chairman of the Free National Movement, Denari Roll. He will let us know exactly who these people are, what their worth is, obviously where they will be running, and then we will talk about exactly how they will size up to any incumbent or perhaps a newcomer. It's all happening tomorrow evening as the FNM rolls out its newest set of candidates. Denari Roll will be joining me. Yours is big enough, okay? Y'all can play. Listen, I think, of course, at the top of tonight's show, the president of the Bahamas Livery Drivers Union, Tori Austin, thank you so much for being here. And this, we even didn't get to the police. The police say, Lord, have trust in them. That's basically what they're saying. Anthony Cobb-Stroll say, y'all trust us. We didn't get to that. I knew we weren't going to, but I think very much in this segment and the two segments, Peggy Candace and Glenroy Pratt, thank you both very much for being here this evening. I want to thank all of you this evening for tuning. Hey, guys, I thank y'all for participating. Y'all fed me some information as well that I needed to know to add to this. Thank you. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's been a joy having you along. And let's hang out again tomorrow evening as we see who the FNM introduces as a part of its 2026 slate, election slate. And so we look forward for that. Until then, I'm Shanique Miller. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, make it a great evening.